Ready Check Radio. What's up, Internet? It is Tuesday, it is 7 p.m. Eastern, and we're here on twitch.tv/Ready Check Radio. So that could mean only one thing. It's time for Snowdown.
Yep.
Seriously, I've done this before. I don't know if you know, but I've done this before. That must mean it's time for Snowbound, the Blizzard podcast, where we talk about World of Warcraft, Diablo, Overwatch, Hearthstone, StarCraft, Diablo Immortal, whatever the hell Blizzard's doing. We're going to talk about it. We've got a lot to cover today, and we're going to cover some of our favorites. It's time. Shadowlands has been out for long enough. Now it's time that we can have favorites that include Shadowlands if need be. So we'll go through that as well. But first up, joining me to go through all of it, Mr. Dom Greco, a.k.a. Zista. What's up, sir?
How's it going?
I can't complain. Oh, God. What do you got now? What do you got now? The long con for finally getting Mike Byrne to join your guild. Silent Chaos Guildmate status. That is me. That is me.
Yep.
Running.
Finally got you.
Finally got me. So, ran some mythics. We'll be doing some raiding this weekend. Yeah. It'll be fun. No Indy today. Indy was scheduled to be on. Hope everything's okay. Haven't heard from her, but she wasn't here for showtime. So it's just gonna be the two of us. So excuse the blank host. She's here in spirit. There's her Twitter. You can follow her Twitter, and give her some thumbs up and some views and the Twitches and all of that stuff. So yeah. Oh yeah, I've been Horde for a number of weeks now, Missy. Before I joined their guild, yeah. And I have multiple hordes anyway. But anyway, hordes. I have multiple hordes.
You have hordes of hordes.
I have multiple hordes. All right. Anyway, we've got a lot of stuff to cover. If you're watching the show on YouTube or listening on our Spotify, make sure you head on over to ReadyCheckRadio.com. That's RAIDEO, Raideo. Come on over, follow all the socials there, and if you can make it live, again, every Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern, come hang out and chat, just like they're all giving me some shit right now, so you could be a part of that too. Head on over. But, Zista, we got a lot to cover. So first, let's get to some... I kind of did this in a certain order, right? We are going to talk about the data mine cinematic. Now, technically, we could have talked about that last week, but... we made a judgment call because it had just broken like the night before or the day of the show or whatever it was, and we opted not to talk about it. You know, if you wanted to get that data mine cinematic and watch it and go ahead and realize that there could potentially be a spoiler there, then that was on you. We did not want you walking blind into a show with a news story you hadn't seen and smack you with spoilers. Now that it's been out for a week, we are going to talk about it a little bit. I guess I'll put the spoiler tag on it, but in my personal opinion, I don't think there was too much in this trailer I really didn't see coming as potential options for the story, but we'll put the spoiler tag on it for a second. But we're not going to start off the show that way. We're going to talk about something else first, give you a chance to listen, mute, and then come on back if you don't, for some reason, really just don't want to see that cinematic. So that is your warning. That's coming up in about 4 to 6 minutes-ish. First up, in-game, though, we did have some updates. Some of them a little, I don't quite know where to feel on this one. So first up, the in-game advertising policy in World of Warcraft was updated. For those of you that kind of don't know what the hell I'm talking about or maybe thinking ads for products and stuff, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the selling of Mythic Plus runs for in-game gold and things like that, using the group finder tools to actually sell those items, to offer those. Now, they've been in the game for a little while now. It isn't anything new, And we're going to talk about whether, you think this type of service should be okay in the game itself separately. We'll set it aside for just a second. Because first, we want to let you know that the policy has now changed. It was updated on the Blizzard site to say that selling items and services for gold is allowed, but can only be advertised in-game through the trade chat channel. Advertisements are not allowed in Group Finder. That's the new piece update. Of course, selling items for real-world money is still strictly forbidden. They're talking about for in-game gold. The Group Finder is intended to help players find active groups that are being formed, and advertisements make it difficult to find relevant groups. Accounts that are used for the primary purpose of advertising these services may be closed, so they could ban those accounts. Ultimately, I don't know of anybody besides people advertising for these things in the Group Finder Zista that is probably going to have too much of a problem with this particular policy change by itself.
Yeah. This I think is a very needed change. Very needed change, because I'd be sitting there looking for runs for Castle Denathria, especially on like the holiday break when we weren't raiding and stuff like that. And I have to filter through 30 different, join my guild, here's our group thing, and it's one person sitting in the thing, and it's like it's really hard to find a group for like actual doing stuff, like the purpose of the Group Finder. I know not everybody uses it, but it's a really useful tool when you do. And I don't use it very often, but when I want to use it, I'm deterred from using it because it's just filled with spam. Now that that's going away or gone now, like it's going to be a much better experience, I think.
Yeah, and while this was happening, you had some interesting side effects go on. So you can read all about this on Reddit. Wowhead also did a piece that links to all the Reddit pieces as well. But Gormor, who actually leads the Azeroth sales community, kind of posted a bunch of stuff. And I hesitated to really get into this, but I know how it's resolved. When you get into this type of stuff, you're usually taking the person that's telling the story. You have their side of it, and then you have Blizzard who doesn't say anything, right? So it's, I was banned, and I was a good boy, I was a good girl, and Blizzard, if they made a comment, would probably be like, no, you weren't. But I know how this one gets resolved, so I'm a little more comfortable digging into this one on the show here. So Gormor reported that he lost like over 100 million gold because they had an account banned. Now, initially, there was the story of wasn't able to like communicate, and so reached out to the team, and then got, oh yeah, we've opened up this ability for you to chat again. But by the way, this is an account that advertises, and we're banning that. Now, when that happened, this policy had not been publicly shared yet. So Gormor was being proactively banned for a policy that they could not have known about yet. It wasn't updated on the website. It wasn't communicated via Twitter or anything like that.
I think even the website was broken for a number of
well,
times,
the last week has been, including today, has been a lot of DDoS fun for Blizzard. They're loving that, I'm sure. Now, there was no contesting of like, I disagree with the new rule and all this stuff. The resolution, by the way, was Gormor did get the account back. They put it on a 14-day ban instead of a perma ban, and they'll get it back. Now, I don't even agree that it should be 14-day banned. Blizzard certainly has the right to change the policies. Absolutely, 100. I mean, even if it's a policy change I don't happen to agree with, and this one I do, they still have the absolute right to change the policies. But I'm very happy that they reverted this kind of gotcha ban off of Gormor Zista, because this could have opened up the door, set a little bit of a precedent going forward for the potential banning of accounts for policies that had not been made publicly available yet. And I don't think that's a road you really want to go down.
Yeah. I feel like it's the warning shot. You hit somebody big, and then, everybody pays attention, and then they could backpedal a little bit and be like, okay, we'll lift it, but just this once, and then everybody else is, like, okay, we really can't do this. They're not messing around. So maybe it was a little of that.
Now, there's a lot more minutia in that story. So, like I said, check out Reddit, check out Wowhead, because there was some going back and forth with different customer service people, and the way that one person would interact was very different from the next one. There were allegations of other people breaking the policy after it was made public, only getting warnings, while Gormer's account was banned prior to the policy being made public. So there's a lot of minutia, and I really don't want to get into that part. But the overall story, I think, warranted a little bit of discussion here. And so now I think that brings us down to the question itself. We both agree, Zista, that this is a good thing, particularly for the group finder, the group finding tool. But are you okay with gold boosting services being sold in game, whether it's trade chat or whatever, now that it's not obscuring the purpose of another tool? As a concept, are you okay with people selling Mythic Plus runs or raid carries or arena carries or whatever the hell they may be selling in these services? Again, we're not talking about real money here. That is forbidden. I don't even have to ask. Both of us are against that type of thing. But in-game gold or in-game items.
It's people's own gold. I think they should be able to do what they want with it. I know a couple people personally that are in, Mythic raiding groups that sell runs. I think last expansion selling Mythic Jaina clears that dropped the mount. They dropped 2 mounts. If your entire guild has the mount, they drop for whoever doesn't own the mount. So as long as you fill the group with everybody that does not have the mount, for example, and then you put 2 carries in there that you're selling the mount for, like, they're guaranteed to get the mount. You get the gold, all that, and then, so they made a fortune. And it's stuff like that, especially in Mythic rating tiers, higher, where consumables and all these things are so expensive for them to be able to maintain. Some way for them to stock up and build up a guild bank to actually have some funds, I think, is very useful. I think there's nothing wrong with it at all. I think it's a very useful service for people if they want to take their time to help run the community through it, and then the community is willing to pay for it. I don't see any problem with it. But
all right, I'm gonna give you a counterpoint.
No.
I'm gonna give you a counterpoint. They do this in Final Fantasy 14 as well. They do it in any MMO of note has somebody, whether it's in a trade chat or whether it's secret and not done publicly like that. This type of stuff happens in MMOs. So obviously we're not going to see a tool put in the game for this. Because Blizzard, I'm sure, does not want to get into a number of things. One being, advocating this type of thing publicly by building a separate trade channel or whatever, or tool. But then also the idea of then they have to police it, right? If these transactions go bad, then they have to step in because they're taking place in a tool. And I'm sure Blizzard doesn't want to get any part of that. They kind of go, look, it's your money. A trade of gold for a Mythic run is just as risky as you trading with somebody you don't know. If you're not paying attention, you're not going to get what you paid for. That's on you. So fine. Looking at this from a new player perspective, though, I think there is a downside to it. Like for you and I and players watching this show or shows like it, probably don't care. You either use the service or you don't. You don't care. I need a carry. I would never pay for a carry. Whatever your view is. I think for newer players, though, this does have a little bit of a downside, in my opinion. When you see high-end game content being sold, I think maybe it puts a bad flavor in your mouth on the viability of that content. Like, am I going to be able to do that when I get there, or am I going to have to pay for it? Or even the question of, when it's time for me to do that, if my friend and I, who are enjoying this game together, want to start running 5-person dungeons, are we going to be able to get 3 players who just want to go run the mythic dungeon? And I know we're talking generally about higher mythics here, you know, your 12s, 13s, 14s, 15s, that type of deal. We're not talking about 2s and 3s, but a new player doesn't maybe know that distinction. Is anybody going to want to run these things with me for free just to run them, or am I going to have to pay somebody? Particularly if every trade chat is spammed with that type of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I totally understand that, because there's a lot of aspects of this game too that Blizzard does not explain very well, like at all. Like for example, how exactly the vault works. Like there's a UI in there, but there's so many people
Yeah.
that are confused with how the vault actually works that unless you're looking up this information on a third party site, you're going to be very, very confused. Like it's just the UI is not informative enough to explain it perfectly. There's so many questions around it. So like I feel new players in general have a very hard time grasping, and you lose them right away. Like WoW seems to be built on the fact that somebody in your group of friends at least knows what's going on and can trickle that information down the chain as it goes. Um, so many people have come to me and they're like, I just don't understand this system. How does this work? How does that work? And yeah, I could totally understand Mythic Pluses and stuff being that exact thing. Like having to wonder if you can do this on your own or if you're going to need high level people to do it. Like imagine coming to the game and like everybody's telling you, oh yeah, you got to get, or not that you have to get, but yeah, we ran a 15 key and you're sitting there and you're struggling and you struggle to get like a 5 or a 6 done.
Yeah.
You're going to be very discouraged. So yeah, I totally understand that.
I also think that though
aspect.
there's probably a lot of it that's like Blizzard isn't banking on the new player anymore. They haven't been for a while.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
they're banking on the money coming from the us's of the world.
Well, like Exile's Reach though was a great like new introduction for
It
players to
is.
understand that. But
It
there's
is.
a lot
But
of
then there was no advertising for Shadowlands.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
you didn't see a
But there's a
TV.
lot
At
of the
least I
core
didn't.
systems that are in place that it's very hard to understand unless you know what you're doing already or can get that information elsewhere.
Yeah, generally I don't have a problem with it. I have a problem when it gets spammy and annoying, and in which case I just turn off trade chat anyway, so it doesn't
I
really matter
actually
to me.
I don't know if this exists, but I would like to see maybe an add-on that would cover some of that stuff. Like if somebody's looking for a carry or if somebody wants a carry and is willing to pay X amount of gold, that people come in like maybe there's some add-on creator out there that can make something like
Oh,
that.
the other
Kind of like
piece
a
that I
bounty
wanted
board or
to
something.
counter to you was the idea that it's in-game gold. Great, but the token exists.
Hmm.
So is it really just in-game gold? When you can buy the token, sell it,
Yeah.
get the gold that way, and essentially you have kicked it all off with a real money transaction. Ultimately, I agree with you. I really don't have a problem with it. I would never use it. It just feels icky to me.
Hmm.
I'd rather just, if I need to pay to get something done like that, then it's like, okay, it's a fucking game. It's God's will. I'm just not meant to do it.
There's some people that really want, if it's a cosmetic item that's a limited window, like for
True.
example, the 15 Mythic 15 Keystone mount,
Yeah.
right? You have to run all the Mythic 15s within a set amount of time. You have to finish the timer on the 15s to get them out.
Yep.
That is only available while the first raid tier is current content. Once the second raid tier comes out, season 1's over, you can never get that mount again.
Yeah.
So there's a bit of pressure. People want that. I want that mount, like I'm starting to run 10s and 12s now, so like I'm still a little ways off. I feel like I'll be able to get there without having to pay. Granted, I have some friends in some higher places that are able to help out, but
Right.
like I don't feel like I have to pay for that service,
Yeah. If you get spammy, I just block you, and I turn trade chat off anyway. So
yeah.
who cares?
You wanna run a 15 key later?
Let's do it right now. Let's queue it up. I'll put it in the B-roll slide, and let's do it. All right. Fair warning. We're going to go very quickly into the Sylvanas thing. There's not like a whole lot to talk about here, but so last week.
If you're all caught up on the story too, like it's no longer data mine, like it's in the game.
Yeah, it's in the game. It's in the game now.
Yeah.
Last week it was data mined, but it's in the game. after what was it? After Torghast twisting corridors, right? Corridors. Yes, that's what it happens
Yeah,
after
the
that in
first
the
quest.
story
Yep.
event. Yeah.
Layer 1. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So we're gonna show the trailer. There's not gonna be sound below here, so you won't hear what's going on, but you can see this in the game now. Last week during the show, had just been data mined. We've got a scene between Sylvanas and the jailer, and then Anduin and Sylvanas. Pretty short scene, about a minute or so long, that does have some nice visual callbacks to Wrath of the Lich King, particularly with Sylvanas holding the sword out horizontally. And yeah, I don't know. But the basic gist of it was that, hey, the jailer has some plans for Anduin to become part of the team. Be part of the team. Come on, do it. And Sylvanas, basically having not been able to convert Anduin over to being part of the team, not being able to convince him to come of his own free will, now has to make a decision where she either lets him go or converts him against his will. Of course, it ends on a cliffhanger.
Of course it does.
Of course it does. Of course it does. What do you think of the scene itself, Zista? I actually really love this cinematic for the grand minute and 6 seconds or whatever that it was.
I knew we weren't covering it last week, so I stayed clear of it when I saw, the cinematic leak. I'm like, I'll get there when I get there. Like, I've been keeping up with the story. Like, as of right now, I'm caught up to the story with the exception of today's stuff that, like, so after the show today, I'll catch up with my Revendreth final campaign arc or whatever. But, like, other than that, I'm completely caught up. So I was actually taken aback when this happened. I was really invested. I was at the edge of my seat, like leaning into my monitor, like as this was going. This was really, really interesting for me because I wasn't expecting it. It was almost like there was a
you
weren't
expecting this?
I wasn't,
because I honestly thought this was one of like the 4, or let's say one of the 3 easy paths to take the story initially was to set up this type of scenario.
I'm sitting here watching, and I'm like, all right, well, we're saving these people every week, so it didn't even like cross my mind that we're not going to get to one of them. Yeah. Like I just assumed we were going to get them all. So, and then I was actually, when I started getting a little suspicious of it was when we saved, what was it, Thrall last week? I think it was.
I don't remember the order. The first one was Jaina. Yeah.
Bane.
Yeah, I think it's Thrall. Yeah.
Yeah. So we saved Thrall, and the way it was going was we have save the person.
Oh yeah, it was Bane, Jaina, Thrall. You're right.
Yeah. So it's we save the person, or we find a clue, save the person. Find a clue, save the person. So I was expecting this week to be find a clue, and then I find out this is the end of the Torghast story. Like, what's going? And then that's when I started getting a little suspicious of it. So yeah, I'm just saying, like, overall, when this first started, no, I didn't expect Anduin to, like, I didn't expect this at all. I expected to save everybody. This week I was a little
Here's the little cliffhanger part that I do like, that I don't know. They could go a couple different ways with this, I think. Missy, we got that. Bane, Jaina, Thrall. Anduin points out, kind of asks, like, why are you giving me this stupid choice? You know that's not even a choice. Wait a minute. And it kind of dawns on him. He says, it's the choice you never had. Despite all your grand designs, there's still some shred of your mortality haunting you, as if the Banshee Queen hasn't entirely eclipsed the Ranger General. And all Sylvanas says is, don't. Is there a shred in there still? Or are we getting played here a little bit? Or is Anduin getting played here a little bit?
I definitely think there is, but so my theory with all of this is that Sylvanas is playing the jailer.
That's a dangerous game. Dangerous game.
It is, and she can't let on to anybody else because the jailer's watching her. Because you see how the jailer's already watching everybody in Orbo, so we have no idea how long she's been involved with the jailer and how long the jailer's been watching her. So for her to like do everything that she's done in the burning of the world tree, all that stuff, if the jailer was watching her the whole time, she would be doing all these actions without being able to tell anybody and without, so it really has to seem like she's turning on everyone. But if she's playing the jailer, maybe I don't know what her end game actually is
I
with
mean, the
that,
end
but
game has to be a serious payoff at that point for
yeah,
all the murder
yes,
and atrocities that you were
yeah,
willing to commit to basically keep the con going, so to speak.
yes.
And
Maybe she's trying to
I
become the
don't know if the
jailer
jailer
herself.
is
I don't
somebody
know.
you try to con,
Yeah.
because that's all it is
Mm.
right now. It's an attempt, if that's the way they go with this. I've always gotten
Yeah.
the impression, and Missy's talking, and Missy and Omi are talking in chat about the novels. I haven't read the Sylvanas one. I need to pick that one up, but I've always gotten the impression that the way Sylvanas was portrayed in game, she's one of my favorite characters. We'll talk about favorites in a few minutes. I've always gotten the impression that there was always that shred of humanity still
Yeah.
inside the Banshee Queen. That's why, honestly, I was kind of surprised that where Shadowlands was going when it was first revealed. I was like, wow, that kind of seems like a very evil departure from a semi-evil character. But okay, I'm willing to go with it. She's badass. I love her. Let's do it. Let's see what happens. And now I think this kind of plays back into more of the Sylvanas that I've always kind of imagined in the architecture of this character. So it'll be interesting to see. If you're doing your Torghast, you can now see this scene. Well, yeah, because it's the story portion. So yeah, you'll be fine. What else do we got today? Class tuning. Honestly, I didn't see a ton here that I think people are going to be up in arms or excited about or anything like that. Death Knights, Blood Death Knights, Bone Shield gives you 70% of strength for your armor. Was 50%. Frost got a damage buff. Frost Mages got a damage buff. Monk Windwalker, all damage increased by 2% using two-handers. Brewmaster, same thing. Assassination Rogues, all damage abilities increased by 8%. Fury Warrior is kind of the most interesting in my mind here. All damage abilities increased by 8%, except for Blade Storm and Dragon Roar. And Meat Cleaver talent now increases Whirlwind's damage by 25%. It was 30, so a little bit above there. A little bit of a nerf there. I don't know if that 8% ability increase is enough for Fury Warriors. I feel they're lagging a little behind in my book, just in my own personal estimation. So maybe 8% isn't quite enough. But all in all, the changes on the classes weren't that big. I think the biggest change here, and I'm not a PvPer, so Zista, I know you're not huge into PvP, but you can chime in here. Players will now drop PvP flags if they activate Pod Tender, including the Temple of Kotmogu orbs. Note, this fix was already applied prior to the patch, before the weekly reset. I think that's probably the biggest thing in these particular patch notes and these updates.
Well, because Pod Tender is what? The thing that makes you invulnerable and like heals you back to full when you die as, what is it, Night Fae, I believe? So like if you were actually holding the flag during all that, yeah, I could see that being a problem, like 100%. So I think it's a necessary change.
Yeah, and everybody else was a buff. But here's the thing. I want to talk in conjunction here with something, because the Arena World Championships are kicking off. Season 1 starts on the 15th, this Friday.
Has it gotten more promotion than Hearthstone?
There's a bit of a change to the Arena World Championships this year with a 2-season format, playing into some cups, and if you win certain cups, then you're automatically in for Season 2 if you didn't place, and there's a whole format video if you're interested in the Arena World Champions, or by proxy here, the other event that runs at the same time, the Mythic races, the Mythic Dungeon Internationals. Those are getting ready to start here. January 15th, the first of 4 cups for EU and NA. 2 different sections. I'm not huge into PvP, but it feels really unbalanced to me right now to be starting the Arena World Championships. And am I nuts, or am I on target? everybody just got a buff basically in this class tuning, which is great. Some buffs, I think, like Assassination maybe should be a little more. Fury Warrior should be a little more. Fury Warriors are doing a little better than I initially thought in my head. So I just feel like there's some balance issues that maybe should be addressed first before this arena, this AWC kicks off.
Yeah, but if people are going to be doing these things, they're going to be picking the best classes anyway. So I don't know. I don't think it's going to factor too much into the race because I don't know what classes do the best and would do the worst. But let's say for example that Shadow Priests are the worst class to have in there. That just means people aren't going to run Shadow Priests. Like how those
Which
mythic
isn't that a
races
detriment
are.
to the event? Like, don't you
Well,
think
yeah,
that's a
for sure.
detriment to the event when, you're not getting this wide diversity of classes? People aren't enjoying necessarily what they're playing. They're only playing this because we do that all the time with like different card games, right? Magic the Gathering players, Hearthstone players, Final Fantasy TCG players. You play the deck at the tournament that's the strongest, even though it might not be your absolute favorite to run and bores the shit out of you. I don't think that's never really a good look when all of the teams are comprised of the same three classes, right? Oh, look, it's another Pally Death Knight Mage. Here we go.
I know Magic last year had like one card that dominated the whole scene and like changed the whole. I don't know much about it. I just know there was one card in there. So when you have something like that, that's like it basically changes everything and like it requires all that stuff. It makes it a little uninteresting. It's like it's the same as Overwatch League about 2 seasons ago. When Brigitte was dominating the meta, and everything was just all about goats. Like you have, Brigitte as one of your healers, and you have what was it before the role queue came in? I don't even remember what goats actually consist of. I think it was like 3 tanks, 3 healers, or something like that. It was insane and it was unbeatable. So everybody started running that then. So it does. It takes the fun out of it. So.
Anyway, I said my piece. I'm not a huge PvPer, so I really don't care at the end of the day. But
yeah. But even as a fan watching it, it's not as fun when it's the same carbon copy thing every single time.
Yep. Oh, look, it's a mono water deck. Here we go. Yay. Bonus event this week is Torghast. The Beast of Prodigium Torghast event started today. So you are now able to get a beast in Torghast from your first Maw Power chest. You can gain the control of a powerful Maw beast. Now, it's one of 3. It's either going to be a Horgel, Hound of Darkness, or a Naltari, or a Valiok, depending on which item you choose. The Chain of Command, Wailing Pendant, or Shade Essence Lore, respectively. As you're running, you will then have options to pick up different data mined powers that can then influence this little Maw powerful beast running around with you. So in addition to your anima powers, you can also make selections that will buff your Maw beast. Have you had a chance to jump in it yet, Zista?
No. I finished all 8 layers of Torghast's.
Oh, you got your mount.
I got the mount. Yeah, I finished that last week. Got a group together and we just hammered through it. We were doing somewhere between one layer to 2 layers a night and we did it like every night in succession just till we got it done. I think the earlier layers we were hammering at like 2 or 3. Yeah, it's Maw is a whole different beast with the mount for sure. But I still the thing that bothers me with it is the Maw beast vehicle mounts that are like in the dungeon or in the zone.
Yeah.
They seem to go just slightly faster than the mount for some reason, even though there's both supposed to be 100% speed.
So you have
increases.
the mount, but you still go for the capture.
I do. Every time I see the capture one, I go for it anyway because number one, you don't take fall damage. I don't know if anybody knows, but the vehicle one, you don't take fall damage. So I take that every single time. Not that I have to worry about fall damage as a demon hunter, but it's just convenient to not have to dismount and just drop down and take no damage.
That's true. But,
yeah, I haven't got a chance to go in yet for the regular stuff, but I definitely think this is something interesting to keep the Maw changing a little bit because like at this point that we're at without endless or Torghast rather, without endless Torghast, Like it needs something to keep people interested in it.
I hate Torghast. I'm just not a fan. Just not generally a fan, which is weird because I love dungeons, and you'd think
It's not as
infinitely
fun when you run it solo.
repeatable, and
Maybe you should
it's
try with
not
a
fun
guild
with
group
it's
or
not fun
something.
in groups either. I mean, unless it's you, me, and somebody and a healer that you're trying to pay to let me die again. The first frickin' mythic we're in. I'll give you 100 gold if you let him die.
I mean, I bumped that price up to 1,000. They still kept healing you.
Yeah, well, I told him give me 200 of that 1,000 and go ahead and let me die. Yeah, just Torghast doesn't do it for me. Like, it's this odd like chore. I think it's just too long. I think that's what it is. Like, if it was a little shorter to do, each day or whenever you're gonna do it, I don't know. I just feel like I spend too much time in there. And I know it's not meant to be like this. I know it's not meant to be like this overly rewarding, like here's a bunch of loot type thing. That's not what this was designed for. I totally understand that. But it doesn't feel rewarding at all.
Well, yeah,
particularly
if you're
once
doing
you have your legendary and you've
corridor.
leveled up your legendary all the way.
If you're doing the twisted corridors and it's really just cosmetic stuff, and I mean,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
get the mount at the end and the maw, then like that feels a little lackluster. Because even I'm like, we still have another 3 layers to go of 18 floors each, and it's just like I wasn't having fun in that. But like what was making it fun is the group that I was in, the people I was doing it with, and then some of the abilities that we were able to chain together were just absolutely broken. Like we had a death knight with us that had the chains of ice that like link all the target's health together, and was able to get multiple stacks on it. So we would pull like the entirety of a floor of Torghast in one pull, and everything just melts, and you sit there and he's sitting there at like a million DPS a second, and it's just like, what is going on right now? Like something has to be done about that. It seems a little broken, but it was that was a lot of fun. But it's like any other multiplayer game. It's about the people you're with. Like that's how much fun you're gonna have. If you're doing it solo or people you're not meshing with, you're not gonna enjoy it.
I don't know. All right, that's enough news. Let's since I figured we'd have a few extra moments in the World of Warcraft section, I figured we'd take a side step here and talk about our favorites. So I'm gonna rapid fire some things at you, Zista, and I'll give you mine as we go too. Chat, by the way, feel free to give me yours as we go. In chat, you'll know what I mean in a second. I'm going to rattle off some categories, and I want you to tell me your favorite of all time in that category when it comes to World of Warcraft. Now, it could be in vanilla, it could be in any expansion. Shadowlands has been out long enough that I think you can make intelligent choices on all of these if you wanted to include a Shadowlands thing. I don't think there's any danger of, well, I haven't seen that enough, so maybe... No. I think we're fine. So here we go. Favorite good guy type character. Not necessarily a good guy, like the Alliance and guy as in male, but favorite, quote, good guy character.
Sylvanas.
Good guy character. Sylvanas. Ooh, all right. I'm going to go with Bolvar. I'm going to go with Bolvar, end of Wrath of Lich King, just to be specific, too.
Okay.
I mean, right now he's fine. There's nothing I don't like him. I just think he's, not interesting right now. Omi going with Bane. All right. Favorite bad guy character. I'll go first. Sylvanas.
Oh, you took mine too. That was also my favorite bad guy character.
Sylvanas is my favorite bad guy character. Followed just underneath with Arthas. Arthas Menethil.
Yeah. She's great in both sides of it. I think she was fantastic, and like seeing her from the good guy aspect, if you're playing Horde, and she's on your side in the line, like she had a lot of depth and everything to her. And then now, only in recent events, seeing her as the bad guy, like it's a whole different side, a whole different layer of her, but it's still her.
Missy going with good guy character Khadgar and bad guy character Garrosh. I didn't like Garrosh very much. Like, I just thought the storyline was meh. Oh, I'm sorry. She introduced also Arthas as technically a tie. So, favorite playable race. Your turn to go first.
Undead.
Blood Elf.
Yeah.
Favorite playable class. Oh yeah, I guess
Okay.
I got to go first. Even though I don't play it anymore, Warlock. My
Fair enough.
my
Demon
nostalgia gets me on that one. On that
Demon
one.
Hunter all the way.
Demon Hunter. Yeah,
If they
but
ever
you
took
and
Demon Hunter
Rogue
out of
were
the
like,
game,
you were in love for a long time. You and Rogue.
yeah, 14 years I think it was. Yeah, something like that. Never played another character. It was Rogue for 14 years. It was Cataclysm, I believe, or when they changed the Rogue. That's when I started not enjoying it.
Little Missy saying Taran for race.
Yeah.
Omi saying Shaman as far as playable class. Little Missy saying Paladin, Druid, Hunter. Pick your favorite playable class. Yeah, that is what I wrote in the show note. Not classes, class. Okay, I was just checking. Cheater. Wow Blink twice says Snowman class.
I hate Snowman. He knows it. He knows it.
I know you do.
He's trolling.
I know you do. Favorite dungeon. You're first this one.
This one is rough because it's like I don't know. My current favorite dungeon is the other side. I love that place with the exception of the final wing because it looks like Ardenweald. But I just love the whole concept of that. That's currently my favorite. That's my easiest jump to point. But I think if I had to pick one from like forever ago, would be what was it, Blackrock Depths, the not upper and lower Blackrock, but the other one that had like the arena in the middle with and then it had like the vault, whatever one the attunement from Molten Core was. I think is Blackrock Depth.
I'm gonna go with Dead Mines, the original. Again, nostalgia is getting me on this one. So, short story, very short, brief story on this one. When my brother and I started playing WoW, obviously being Rolling Humans, that was the first dungeon we ran. And the first time we ran it with 3 total strangers. Now, I had played Final Fantasy XI for years prior, but Final Fantasy XI doesn't have dungeons in the way like EverQuest and World of Warcraft had dungeons, right? There's a similar concept, but it's not done the same. There's a raid concept in Final Fantasy XI, but it's not a raid as you would think it in the way the terms used today from EverQuest and from World of Warcraft. So a little different. Damn it, Omi. That is a good one. Halls of Reflection from Wrath. That was tough. Anyway. So this was our first that type of dungeon experience. His first period, because he didn't play MMOs or do a lot of gaming prior to WoW. My first, because I'd played Final Fantasy XI, and that was my MMO experience for years prior to World of Warcraft. The first time we raided that, or did that dungeon, it took probably about 45 minutes with a pug of 3, and him and I, we were both DPS. I was Warlock, he was Mage. We took a break, like a 10-minute break in the middle with everybody. Went outside on my porch, smoked. We were like, this is fucking intense, man. Like sitting it's like sweat on our brow. We're like, this is intense. Like having to sheep and pull and do this. And it's not like that anymore. The days have changed. But yeah, so I've got to give it for nostalgia's sake to what the hell's the name of the dungeon? I'm like blanking. What is it? I'm totally blanking. I said it already, and I cannot remember the name of the dungeon. I don't know. I can't remember what my favorite dungeon is. Dead Mines. Thank you. Jesus, what just happened to me? Like, does anybody else smell burnt toast? Let's. I literally had just said it 4 minutes before I told that story. And I'm like, that's why. That's my favorite dungeon.
What was my favorite dungeon again?
What the hell dungeon did I like for nostalgic reason that I can't even fucking remember the name now? Jesus, Van Cleef would kill me. And I remember his name.
Yeah, but Vanessa, or what was the other guy?
Oh, Edwin.
Ah, there you go. Okay, I was just checking.
I called original Dead Mines, so it has to be Edwin.
Mhm.
But I couldn't remember Dead Mines 4 minutes after I said it.
Do you prefer the original Dead Mines or the revamped Dead Mines? Now, like as a player
Oh,
now.
as a player now, the revamp, of course. Yeah,
Yeah.
the revamp.
Yeah, I think they did a great job with the
They really
revamp. I
did.
had no
They really
attachment
did.
to the original.
They really. Ooh, Hellfire Ramparts. Yeah. Wild Blink. That's a good one too. Favorite raid.
This would be you.
Yeah, I'm hooking up B-roll here. You give me a second, because I actually brought a little footage.
Oh.
It's not of the raid technically, but it'll give you the idea. Ice Crown for sure. You think, Omi? Omi goes with Ice Crown. Ice Crown is one of my favorites. Lil Missy saying ICC.
Karazhan.
Yeah, so this is the trailer for technically Return to Karazhan, but ironically, the trailers that I could find for Karazhan aren't from actually licensed World of Warcraft games. So we'll have to let this suffice. Nostalgia here a little bit too, but I also think this is a fantastic raid. ICC is right behind it. Behind it, like almost neck and neck. But since I didn't say raids, I said raid. I'll pick one. And I'll go with Karazhan. I love this raid. I love this dungeon, the return to model of it. Yeah. I love the story with Medivh, and I love the structure of it. If you want to go to this boss, go ahead. If you don't, here's 2 others you could go to. I like that Castle Nathria has that type of feel to it. That same type of feel we had in ICC that I just kind of lost.
This was a smaller raid, too.
Yeah.
This was a 10-man raid.
Yeah, I love 10-man raiding. In Final Fantasy 14, 8-man. I love that. I wish they did raids differently, but it's 8-man. I think that's like the ideal group for me. Is that like 8, 10, 12 mark. I've done 25. It's fine. I've done 40. It's fine. Technically, when I did 40, it wasn't relevant content, but we still took 40 with us. So whatever. I love that. I love that. So yeah, and Burning Crusade was when my brother and I started like really playing the game. So I have a soft spot for these anyway. What about yours?
For sure. Like on surface level, there's something that I really enjoy about like ZG and AQ20. Those 20-man raids I feel was like a great sweet spot number. But anybody who knows me knows that my all-time favorite raid is the original Naxxramas. And I don't know if it's just because I really like the aesthetics of it. I like the option where you could choose which wing you want to go through, or maybe the fact that it was technically my first like end game progression raid that I ever did. Because like when I had joined, I was in a US 8 guild in vanilla, and when I joined that guild, they were working through AQ 40 already at that time, and I came in to work on the last 2 optional, which was I think it was Orobu or Orobo, Vicidus, and Cthulhu itself. So I came in and I learned Cthulhu, and I still think Cthulhu is like one of the best raid encounters ever designed for the game. I think it was really cool the way we had to like separate groups and stuff in there. So we didn't put favorite boss in the game, but Cthulhu would be my all-time favorite boss. But favorite raid I think is just Naxxramas, the aesthetics, all that, and it kind of being like I said, the very first time I pushed through, learning every fight from the ground up with a progression raid team. It was really exciting for me.
That's funny. If I had to go favorite boss, my favorite boss is in Nax as well. I just told you, Karazhan, my favorite raid. But if we want to add a favorite boss to that, it's got to be Kel'Thuzad. I love the model, the lore, the fight is okay. Like it's an okay fight. It's not one of my favorites from like a mechanics perspective or anything like that, but I love that fight. But then I got to go to Tempest Keep too. I love Kael'thas in there. That fight too. That's good. Kel'Thuzad. We'll keep it at Kel'Thuzad. Wild Blink twice saying Dragon Soul, where I met my fiance. Little Missy saying where I stole your pants, and Wild Blink twice says, and my heart.
was love at first fright.
Favorite battleground?
Favorite battleground is Warsong Gulch.
I don't have one. I hate battlegrounds. Favorite quest line? I don't like PvP. Rothi Basin. I knew that one was going to come up all over. Favorite quest line? I'm going to give it to my Warlock's Mount quest line pre Wrath of the Lich King. It was a pain in the ass, but I have like almost never felt as accomplished by having something that meant nothing in an MMO as when I got the Nightmare Steed. So I'll give it to the Warlock Mount quest, which no longer exists. And if you didn't play pre-Wrath of the Lich King, you have no idea what I'm talking about. Dire Maul can suck my left butt cheek, but that quest line, phenomenal. What about you?
So I don't remember the name of it, but it was in vanilla, and there was a quest chain in I'm blanking on the name of the zone with
Dead
the dark
Mines.
portal in it.
It's Dead
No,
Mines.
no, it's not Dead Mines. Burning Steps? No, that's not right.
I believe what you're trying to remember is the name Van Cleef.
No. Whatever zone had the dark portal in it. I forget. There was a quest chain
Netherguard.
in that zone.
The zone with Netherguard. That's Burning Steps.
Is it? No.
Oh, no, Blasted Lands.
Yes, Blasted Lands. That's the one.
Yeah.
There's a quest chain in Blasted Lands. I don't believe it started in Blasted Lands, but I know it ended in Blasted Lands. And you would go in, and it was a 5-man quest. And the culmination of the group, you would summon this demon up on the top of a pillar on the like in the zone, and you'd fight it. And this thing had this massive knockback, and people would go flying off the pillar and die constantly. And I remember the first time doing this quest, my group died. I think it was 25 something plus times doing it.
Good grief.
It was just so much fun. And then like you get this crazy demon blade or whatever as the reward. And it was like this very hidden, obscure, not like now hidden, obscure quest, but it was like, because it was in a zone that you didn't really travel to very much, not a lot of people did that quest. And it was just, that one was a lot of fun.
From outside the game, by all means, by the way, in the comments on ReadyCheckRadio.com or YouTube, take that list. Give us your favorites if you want to. We'll definitely take a peek at them, maybe bring some of them to next show. From outside the game itself, particularly the retail game, since one of these little quick hits I'm about to give you is classic-related, Asmongold's taking a Twitch hiatus. No real reason, just kind of tweeted. You know, there's a lot of reasons, but too many to list out in a tweet. Going to be taking a indefinite break from streaming, letting his fans know that 2 days ago. 2 days ago. Asmon's done this before, though, I think. I think he did this like last year, too, didn't he?
Me personally, I'm not a big Twitch. It's not like Twitch streamer in general. I don't watch a lot of Twitch, unfortunately.
And he does add, just to kind of clear things up, not quitting, just taking a break. Not sure how long, probably about a month or so. It's not because of chat or Rust. Yeah, all that stuff going on with the Rust game. Obviously, chat tilts me sometimes, though, he says. So if you're a fan of Asmongold's content, you're gonna a little bit of a hiatus. A little bit of, we all need that. Like, and I can't even imagine like on his level, needing that. But any content creator, whether you have 2 people watching or 2,000 people watching, it's.
I took a break myself last week. I needed it.
You always look at it and you're like, I'd love to do that, and then when you do it, it's a job.
I think even PewDiePie's taking a break right now on YouTube. Yeah. So it's just like, a lot of people are taking breaks. And after 2020, I really don't blame them.
There's probably a lot of mental health to get in order. You got to take care of that aspect of your life too.
And anybody that pushed through and continued streaming throughout 2020 to help people out, like, you have no idea how much people honestly respect and appreciate that.
I'm gonna try to give you an idea, Zista, of how much people love that and respected that, because not only does Cyberpunk 2077 help here, by the way, but also World of Warcraft helped Twitch reach a record month of viewing in December. and for 2020 as a whole. This is all coming from Stream Elements and Arsenal.gg, showing a number of different milestones. But World of Warcraft blazing up to 4th, a 48% increase in viewership with 76 million hours watched in December. And that's just World of Warcraft. Twitch as a whole, absolutely record-shattering best month as far as total hours viewed. And that wasn't just Twitch either. Facebook Gaming had a record month, 338 million hours viewed, not as much as Twitch, but still a lot of growth there. And then YouTube had its stuff. The year sucked. There was a lot of things that kept people home, whether it was quarantines or anything like that. Yeah, people were very, very appreciative. Very appreciative. By the way, I did want to point out that Cyberpunk did outsell Shadowlands on PC. I don't know if we talked about that. I think we skipped over that.
Yeah, but does that still count after all the refunds?
You couldn't get the refunds on the PC. So unless you were inside Steam's normal thing or GOG's normal rules. So, yeah, huge numbers. Yeah, pandemic has an awful lot to do with that, too. But certainly a lot of appreciation going on. And it's important to note that Classic, World of Warcraft Classic, has its first Atiesh. Yes, the Owl Staff is back a little more than 1 month after the Nax launch, like a month and a week-ish after Nax launched. And I think, I haven't gone, the numbers escape me at this point because it's been years since I touched that stuff. But I think that might be the absolute earliest you could have gotten it with resets, right? Or pretty damn close.
I believe it is because back when that first came out, nobody full cleared it the first week it came out. It just didn't happen. Because you got to remember too, yeah, these races are fun to watch and all that now, but you're watching it with the knowledge of how to do these fights, right? Everything is already laid out, all the strategies, everything. It's not like we had to start from scratch, learn the mechanics. There was no PTR to test the bosses out early or anything back then. We had to wait for it to go live, go in, test the bosses. There was theories on Patchwork where you had to stand in the slime.
Right.
If you weren't, there's so many incredible theories with that didn't end up panning out to be true. And so that stuff all held us back, held us up. So yeah, this I would say is the absolute fastest time it's ever been done. It's 40 shards, I believe, or was it 40 shards?
It's something like that. It's something like that.
Yeah, so yeah, that's insane.
I think maybe with resets you could have done this 1 week. I'd have to look at the exact dates to look at the resets, and yeah, it was pretty damn close to as early as you could possibly get it, given that it released a week or a month and a week ago.
Jason says in chat that I'm too young to be back in my day. Jason, I'm a vampire. I don't age. You don't know how old I am.
In other Blizzard news, financials, we'll be talking about them on this show when they come out. They come out on February 4th. That kind of sucks, actually. I'm pretty sure they would have liked to see those in maybe a different, because that's the week before BlizzCon, isn't
it? It's 2 days before my birthday. I know that much.
It's 8 days before mine.
Mm-hmm.
The 4th is Thursday, and I'm pretty sure BlizzCon's the 12th, isn't it? It starts on my birthday. Somebody in chat maybe can correct me on the date of BlizzCon if I'm misremembering it. But I'm pretty sure that's the 12th, 13th, 14th that weekend.
19th and 20th.
I was going to say about 16. It's 5 days after your birthday, Jason. It's the following week? Is this
19th and 20th, yeah.
Okay, so it's
February 19th and February 20th.
Okay, so it's two days or 2 weeks ahead. So we'll be covering those, I'm sure. I would expect record-breaking numbers, which means we should have a layoff piece coming sometime this week. That's a joke about how terrible Activision is. Moving on. I'm going to let you take this one. We got some Overwatch lore and a new challenge.
Yeah. I have not actually read the lore piece. I kind of skimmed it. I haven't been following Overwatch lore. That's not really my forte in it. But what was interesting is when I shared the news about it with you was more that it seems like we were getting a new map of some sort, which we did. It dropped today, actually. We got a new deathmatch map, Kanzaka, which uh, I have in the background of me right now. And as you can see, just above my head is what appears to be Hanamura. So we get a nice new little deathmatch map there. We got um, new challenge this week, which means skins, sprays, all that fun stuff. So I will be playing Overwatch this week for sure.
Gonna be streaming it? You want to plug your stream if you are?
Probably. I usually stream the challenges. I don't typically stream competitive Overwatch, but I'll stream the challenges.
I'll cover this one since I know you don't like speed running. You're not a fan.
Mm.
You're not generally a fan. But a new world record for Diablo 3 was set at Games Done Quick. We're talking about 3-man teams running the main story campaign. It was the entire campaign finished in 1 hour, 19 minutes, 15 seconds by a trio who was running all monks. Presumably that would be for the movement increase. The movement abilities there. Not only does that beat the record, the current world record for a 3-person team, but it also beats the record for a 4-person team as well. So pretty impressive. The video is available on Games Done Quick if you want to check that out. A little over an hour to watch them 3-person the entire main campaign of Diablo 3. And not to be outdone, Diablo 3 is also getting its Darkening of Tristram event. That's coming back this month. So if you're looking to if you don't play a lot of Diablo, but you're looking to like level up a character very quickly or catch up in some Paragon leveling, and this event is a really good one to do it because there's tons of ridiculous kill chains going on through event buffs and tons of experience. So definitely worth checking out.
This event is also, it's like a recreation of Diablo 1
Yeah.
within Diablo 3, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, when this first came out, I was like, oh, I need to go check that out. And then I didn't realize it was so like time limit, and I missed it. I still to this day have not done that. I don't know how many times it's come back now.
Go do it.
I might have to install Diablo.
Yeah, it's
3
kind
again
it's kind
just
of
to
like
do
a
it.
faux creation of the original
Yeah.
Diablo. Finally, before we head on over to Lore Lies and call it a day, we do have some Hearthstone news. Not a lot, but for you players
Deadmines is getting nerfed.
oh my boy is getting nerfed. I totally forgot we were going to talk about him too. Here he is. Edwin Van Cleef and Bogspine Knuckles both getting nerfed. Edwin Van Cleef going from 3 cost to 4 cost. And yeah, and Knuckles having a attack of 4 previously, now having an attack of 3. But it should be noted that not only are these 2 nerfs happening, but your boy Van Cleef, Blizzard has already said it's not really worth stocking up on or crafting or hoarding extra Edwin cards because that's his time and standard is coming to an end. And I think a lot of people are pretty happy about that one.
Yeah.
But obviously Hall of Fame's still a thing, so you'll be able to use them, but you don't need to go ahead and hoard them or craft a bunch of extra ones. And then there's I didn't see anything about this. I literally just searching for news, I happened to find this, but Hearthstone Battlegrounds players are using a Windows firewall exploit to get extra turn time, according to PC Gamers. What the hell's going on here?
So when you're in the battleground, if you have some of the things like elementals and pirates, especially where you could juggle cards to get extra coins to like increase the amount of things you could buy, or there's so much going on with like the turn window. So what you can actually do, the long way to do this before was close out the game about 10 seconds before your turn actually starts. You just completely X out of the game. You then open the game back up, and instead of watching the pre-scripted auto chess battle where it would just start knocking into cards, um, it would just start you into the buy phase for your next turn immediately. So you would bypass that, and instead of getting like 70 seconds to do it, you might end up with like 130 seconds or something to do it. It actually was very significant. I will say that I have used this once or twice in the past when I was playing Battlegrounds. Maybe I want to say 5 or 6 months ago. Um, just with certain builds, it was absolutely like it felt like it was absolutely necessary to do. And you see all the top streamers and everything doing it. It kind of was part of the way to play.
It became
So
meta.
yeah, exactly. So with the firewall exploit, it's literally just being able to shut the game and turn it back on without having to close the program down. So it saves a lot of time in that regard.
Yeah, Blizz is obviously going to have to do something about it, but you're kind of limited because of the whole if you want somebody that gets disconnected to be able to jump back in,
Yeah.
then this
What it
this
should do is it
window
should
has to
just
be
freeze
there.
you.
Yeah.
It should just freeze you there if you do that. It should just freeze you on that screen, not allow you to buy anything or whatever until everybody gets to that point.
Yeah.
That's how I feel is the way to do that.
And I'm sure they will do something at some point. But the other, like the without the firewall portion, that exploit's been around for a while. I mean, it's not new. So
Been around
maybe they're
since the beginning of Battlegrounds.
right. So maybe they're not going to do anything about it. I think with the additional firewall exploit, it kind of makes it a little more urgent. So we'll see.
I think so, yeah.
By the way, if you've been playing on Mac or iOS and you've been having huge issues, Blizzard knows and fixed it, but then also acknowledged that they may not have fixed it. So if you've been having issues on those two platforms, they're aware. Keep your eyes peeled for a fix. And with that, let's head over and do Lore or Lies. This is the segment of the show where we give you 3 statements, one of which has a falsehood in it. The other 2 are the stone cold truth. They're supplied by our resident lore keeper, Lil Missy. You can follow her right on the bottom of the screen there, Little Missy 4205. Had to make sure last week I didn't have my glasses on. I hate this. So yeah, she keeps us up to date with all of this. Last week on Lore or Lies, Lorekeeper Missy tested your memory from playing through Shadowlands at launch. Now it's been a few months, but everything that happens in the story is important, as Blizzard really does like to, sprinkle in some future content stuff from 3 expansions back. They tend to do that. So last week, I told the lies sprinkled with a bit of truth. It was me. Players first enter the Shadowlands with the help of the new former Lich King, Bolvar Fordragon. Darian Mograine just kind of comes along for the ride when Tyrande jumps in headfirst to rescue Jaina, Goel, Bane, and Anduin. I guess the dark side of the moon does have some serious side effects. No? All right, fine.
You might want to check chat, by the way.
I got to check chat. Oh, my God. And I got to read 2 of these. So since we don't have Indy, I hate you, Zista. Or just redeem channel points, quest rewards to have me take off my glasses. Since we don't have Indy today, I'll read the first one. Zista will read the second one, and then I'll read the third one. This should be an absolute blast. Here we go. I can't see it. All right. We left off with Missy is going to beat the piss out of me if I get this wrong because I can't see it. We left off with players and NPCs meeting an unlikely ally while in the jailer's maw. Using the fragment of the Helm of Domination, Darian gets information on a possible way out from one of the many souls trapped within an amalgamation, a waystone. Go ahead, sister.
As the party makes their way to the location of the Waystone, an old enemy appears. First Valkyr made by Odin, Helya, returns to taunt the group. The results in Goel throwing his axe at her. The second dumbest move after using the elements in the Makgora with Garrosh Hellscream.
I'm still here.
Yeah, you got it.
New weapon in hand and kidnapped leaders all assemble. The party makes it to the Waystone that seems to react as they draw near. After all that work, players can only save one of them, so the others must be left behind. But not before Anduin does his light show to hold off the Mossworn and the jailer. So did the first thing I say have a falsehood in it? Did Zista's? Or did the second thing I say have a falsehood in it? You'll have to let us know in the comments below, and it's not enough just to tell us where the lie is. You've got to tell us what the lie is as well. Let me try and bring up the next slide here. We will, of course, be back next Tuesday with the answer to that question and more news, and hopefully a wild indie will appear. We don't know what's going on, but hope everything's okay there. But, chat, don't go anywhere. Right after the show, after a few minutes of post-show, channel will go dark for about 30 seconds and come back up with Mr. Jason Winter streaming. What are you doing today, sir? How are you?
Well, I was so busy watching the show, I almost forgot to unmute myself and pull off my little thing to hide the camera.
Or, I mean, well, see, you almost forgot. Last week, I got thrown into this no glasses situation and totally forgot to introduce you, for which I apologize.
Did he do it last week? Did he put the points up?
I didn't do it last week, no.
No, it was DJ Havoc and chat that did it last week.
Havoc, okay.
It was my damn brother.
Yeah, I'm going to continue on with Mass Effect Andromeda. So hopefully, I'm a little sad though that I actually just played a little offline about a couple hours ago, and I saw some alien butts. So, but you might not get that here.
That's not good. That's not good.
I know chat wants the butt.
Jason with the Mass Effect, and you've kind of started a disease across the internet, by the way.
I've what across the internet?
You've started a Mass Effect Andromeda disease. Everybody has started playing it.
I hope I'm responsible for it. It'd be the second best disease I ever spread.
Oh, I don't even want to touch that one with a 10-foot pole. All right, so chat, stay tuned for Mr. Jason Winter. Until next week, though, Zista, where can everybody find you?
You can find me on Twitter at itzista and on Twitch at Zista, Xizta.
I'm Mike Byrne. You can follow me personally right there at the bottom of your screen at MagicMan1. But more importantly, follow at RC Radio so that you get all the tweets about the new shows, the streamers, what they're streaming, when they're live, the schedule and everything set right to your feed. Turn those notifications on, please. Until next week, stay safe. See you in the server.